In this video, I'm going to show you how to measure voltage across an entire circuit and across elements of a circuit. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a working circuit. It can be either powered by your Arduino in the computer or by a battery pack, but you want to make sure that it's actually working and that your light is turning on. So first I'm going to show you how to measure across the whole circuit. So we're going to take our multimeter and we're measuring voltage. So I want to make sure it's turned to VDC. And you might be reading something. Now you've got two probes, black and red. Black is going to go to the ground end of your circuit, and red is going to go to the power end of my circuit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the red probe and I'm going to touch it to the first thing that's getting power. In this case, I'm going to touch it to the beginning of my circuit, which is going to be the first part of the resistor. And that would be fine. Put it down here. Now the ground is going to be the end of the circuit. So I'm going to touch it to the last thing in my circuit, which in this case is going to be the ground leg of the LED. So if I touch it, I've got power to the power end of the resistor and ground to the ground leg of the LED. So I'm touching both ends of the circuit. Then you should get a voltage reading. Now I'm reading mine and it's about 4.7 volts. And that makes sense because right now my circuit is powered by this Arduino board and my computer via USB port, which is putting out 5 volts. So I'm reading about 4.7, which is pretty close to 5 volts. Another option that you can also do to measure the whole circuit is to actually touch this to the power wire and touch your black one to the ground wire. It's not necessary to do that. You can just touch it to the first and last components as well. So that's how you measure the total voltage in your circuit. Now, what if you wanted to measure the voltage that each component was taking up? So in the circuit, I've got 2 components. I've got a resistor and an LED. So if I want to measure the voltage of each component, I can take my red probe and touch it to the power side of the resistor. And I can take my black probe and touch it to the ground side of the resistor. This will just give me the voltage that the resistor is using. It's not measuring resistance. I'm just measuring how much voltage it's taking up. Now, when I read this, it's taking about 2.18 volts. So it's taking about half of the voltage, which makes sense. Remember, we had about 4.7, it's taking 2.8, so it's taking about half the voltage. Now, if I want to measure the voltage that my LED is using up, I do the same thing. Red is going to go to the power leg, the long leg of the LED, and black is going to go to the ground leg or the short leg of the LED. I'm making sure to make good contact with the metal here. And when I do that, should get something also pretty similar, maybe 1 point something. Here we go. I'm getting about 1.3. And now let's just think about that for a minute. I've got about 1.3 was 1.4 plus, so if my LED is using up about 1.4 volts and my resistor is using up about 2.8 volts, that is pretty close to 4.7. It's not exact, but that's a good way of just checking yourself. The total voltage should be the amount of voltage that this is taking, plus this should be about the total. So it should be close, somewhere close to 4, somewhere close to 5. So that's how you measure the voltage of your entire circuit and also of the components of the circuit.